And those that are at home, through the eyes of those that are still working in essential services, are swanning around and having tea parties. It's been an interesting week as we transition into phase after phase that COVID is creating within our businesses. But one really interesting recurring theme that seems to be coming up this week is around the sense that the frontline workers, so the construction worker, the food processor, those that are in essential services predominantly, are still working and potentially carrying risk. And those that are at home, through the eyes of those that are still working in essential services, are swanning around and having tea parties. So I wanted to explore this because it's not new. It's the age-old divide that faceless corporate is doing nothing, and I on the front line are working hard to keep this business going. We work off the premise that every role is needed within an organisation and that every person within that role is undertaking that role. This is a really interesting conversation to have as a leader, because you have to ask yourself, why does this divide exist? And it doesn't take long to nut out that it's a sense of unfairness. And then with that, potentially a sense of acknowledgement of role and contribution in role. So what does this mean for us? Well, I think first thing it means that leaders need to realise that this actually happens and is happening within organisations. And as such, we need to prioritise some of this work. If we don't, then coming out of COVID, there is a really good chance that we'll have the divide we had coming in of the faceless corporate, and a heavy dose of unfairness over the top. We're laying down memories at the moment which will guide us as predictions into the future. So the acknowledgement that this is really important work for leaders to focus on is the first piece for leaders to do. And then to really get to the root cause. Is it that I'm not being valued in my role? Is it that my role is not recognised and I am not recognised for my hard work? I have seen frontline construction, food, mining workers, delivery workers working very hard. I've equally seen those that have been displaced and dispersed into distributed work at home work longer hours and working harder in a thinking capacity than they've ever done before. But the match doesn't seem to be, or the acknowledgement doesn't seem to be there. So I'm wondering if leaders need to think about creating systems so that we become aware and our perspective actually changes. So if I am on the front line, how do I value the work that people are doing for me behind the scenes? And if I am behind the scenes, how do I link well with those that I am serving on the front line? It's leader work and it needs your attention. Otherwise, we are going to feel the divide and the disconnection when we come out of this time and we try and come back together.